Hello and welcome to Indus News Live from Islamabad. I'm Hira Mustafa and these are the headlines. In Jordan, authorities have foiled an alleged coup attempt against King Abdullah bin al-Hussein and arrested 2 aides of former crown prince. In a video message, King Abdullah's half-brother, Prince Hamza bin Hussein, said he has been placed under house arrest. The military, in its statement, has told the prince to halt actions targeting security and stability of the country. Meanwhile, the US and regional powers have voiced support for King Abdullah. In Myanmar, protesters are back on the streets facing off with security forces across the country. Meanwhile, 10 of Myanmar's rebel groups have announced to support the anti-coup movement. According to the local monitoring group, the toll of civilians killed in protests is approaching 560. Bulgarians are casting their ballots to elect a new parliament. Over 6.7 million Bulgarians are eligible to pick representatives for the 240-seat House. Opinion polls suggest that Prime Minister Boyko Borisov's center-right GERB will again be the largest party. The third wave of the COVID-19 has dampened the world's Easter celebrations as many regions witnessed record deaths and cases. India has reported 513 COVID-19 deaths and over 93,000 infections, the highest since mid-September. In Pakistan, 81 more people lost their lives to the virus, while over 5,000 tested positive overnight. Globally, the virus has claimed more than 2.84 million and infected over 130 million people. And in cricket, Pakistan will face South Africa in the second one-day of the 3-match series in Johannesburg today. The visitors lead the series 1-0 after skipper Babar Azam's majestic century helped the Green Shirts beat the British in the series opener. Well, these were the headlines. News in detail coming after the short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now the news in detail. In Jordan, authorities have foiled an alleged coup attempt against King Abdullah bin al-Hussein. They have arrested 2 aides of the former crown prince. In a video message, King Abdullah's half-brother, Prince Hamza bin Hussein, said he has been placed under house arrest. Prince said he was not part of any foreign conspiracy and denounced the ruling system as corrupt. In a statement, the military has told the prince to halt actions targeting security and stability of the country. It said the warning to prince is part of an ongoing security investigation. The military said under that broader probe, a former minister, a junior member of the royal family, and others were also detained. Meanwhile, the US and regional powers have voiced support for King Abdullah. In Myanmar, protesters are back on the streets facing off with security forces across the country. 10 of Myanmar's rebel groups have announced to support the anti-coup movement. The rebel groups met virtually to discuss the situation, condemning the junta's use of live ammunition on protesters. Last week, the junta declared a month-long ceasefire with ethnic armed groups. Meanwhile, hundreds of people protested in the country's second city of Mandalay and other cities. Opponents of the military rule took up Easter eggs as a symbol of defiance, with pro-democracy messages painted on them. According to the local monitoring group, security forces have killed 557 civilians so far. 10 people have been killed in a suicide attack at a makeshift kiosk near government buildings in the Somali capital of Mogadishu. An information ministry spokesman said a number of people were also wounded in the attack. Witnesses said the bomber walked into a crowd who were drinking tea in an open area near a police station. A government spokesperson said a police station or a government ministry located near the scene could be the target. However, he said the motive of the attack is not yet known. This comes hours after Al-Shabaab militants attacked 2 military bases outside the city, killing 9 people. India has reported 513 COVID-19 deaths and over 93,000 infections, the highest since mid-September. Globally, the virus has claimed more than 2.84 million and infected over 130 million people. More in this report. The third wave of the COVID-19 has dampened the world's Easter celebrations, as many regions witnessed record deaths and cases. But Britain has reached another milestone with 5 million now, having had both doses in what is the fastest rollout in Europe. Meanwhile, EU authorities continue to struggle with vaccine rollout and protest. In Germany, several thousand people took to the streets in Stuttgart to protest the government's handling of the pandemic. Face mask requirements and social distancing rules were mostly ignored, but police said a decision was taken to let the demonstration go ahead.
We
push the people even more together with every intervention by the police. That is counterproductive. So we didn't like what we saw, but it was a better decision for today, to let the demonstration go ahead.
Over in the America, Brazil hopes to use veterinary facilities to increase COVID-19 vaccine output as the country accounts for the world's worst daily death tolls and its vaccination efforts lag. The country has registered nearly 2,000 deaths in a day, pushing the toll to over 330,000. Argentina's authorities say President Alberto Fernandez, who contracted the disease, is in generally good health despite having suffered a headache and light fever. The U.S. has put Johnson & Johnson in charge of a plant that ruined 15 million doses of its vaccine and has stopped AstraZeneca from using the facility. Also, the country has set a new record by administering more than 4 million doses of vaccine over the past day. More than 161 million doses have now been given to a U.S. population of around 330 million. Pakistan has recorded another 81 deaths from COVID-19 overnight as the country battles the third wave of the outbreak. The health ministry says over 5,000 people contracted the virus in the past 24 hours. The ministry said the death tally is approaching 14,800. It said out of nearly 688,000 confirmed cases, more than 613,000 have recovered. However, the number of active cases has crossed 60,000 as the coronavirus positivity ratio rises above 9%. The ministry said 422 patients are on ventilator support. 5 Indian troops have been killed and 12 others injured in a gun battle with MAOIST rebels in the eastern Chhattisgarh state. Police say the exchange of fire took place when security forces raided a hideout of rebels. They added a rebel had been captured in the raid. The police said the body of one female rebel was also recovered. State media said that 20 security personnel were missing after the engagement. The MAOIST claimed to defend the rights of indigenous tribes, while India calls them an internal security threat. The rebels have been fighting the Indian government for more than 40 years in a conflict that has killed tens of thousands of people. The Indian troops have arrested 10 civilians in occupied Jammu and Kashmir's Pulwama district. The people were detained during a so-called cordon and search operation in the Kakpora area of the district. The arrests come after the killings of 3 youths during a violent search operation in the same district. So far, more than 14,000 people have been arrested since New Delhi revoked the Valley Special status on 5th of August 2019. Meanwhile, a major fire that broke out at a market in the northern Baramulla district has gutted at least 25 shops. The cause of the fire is not yet known. Ukraine says its soldier has died in an explosion near Russian-backed separatist de facto capital Donetsk. Tensions have been high in eastern Ukraine as Moscow and Kiev blame each other for a rise in violence along the front line. In a Facebook post, the Ukrainian army said an explosive device went off near the village of Shamy, north of Donetsk. It said the soldiers succumbed to his injuries, while self-proclaimed Donetsk People's Republic has accused the Ukrainian army of killing a child in a drone attack. The People's Police of the DPR called on the representatives of the OSCE monitoring mission to demand a probe into the incident. Bulgarians are casting their ballots to elect a new parliament. Over 6.7 million Bulgarians are eligible to pick representatives for the 240-seat House. The turnout is likely to be low due to voters' fears of COVID and a slow vaccine rollout. Opinion polls suggest that Prime Minister Boyko Borisov's centre-right GERB will again be the largest party, but he could fall short of the required majority in the House and may struggle to build a stable coalition in a more fractured parliament. The United Nations has welcomed the U.S. move to revoke sanctions against senior officials of the International Criminal Court. In a statement, a spokesperson said UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres affirms continued cooperation to the ICC. The statement read the court plays an important role in advancing accountability for international crimes. Earlier, the new U.S. administration lifted the sanctions, calling them inappropriate and ineffective. The former Trump administration imposed the curbs over a probe into U.S. war crimes in Afghanistan. Christians around the world are observing Easter today. This is the second year in a row that the festival has been marred by restrictions due to the coronavirus pandemic.
In Vatican City, Pope Francis led a scaled-down Easter Vigil service, attended by only around 200 people. He expressed hope that the dark times of the pandemic would end and people could rediscover the grace of everyday life. In his homily, the Pope said, Easter brings the hope for renewal on a personal as well as a global level.
It is always possible to begin anew, because there is a new life that God can awaken in us in spite of all our failures. From the rubble of our hearts, God can create a work of art. From the ruined remnants of our humanity, God can prepare a new history.
Meanwhile, in Pakistan also, the Christian community is celebrating Easter while observing the COVID-19 SOPs. In a tweet, Prime Minister Imran Khan wished the Christian community in Pakistan a happy Easter.
More news stories coming up after the short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. In China, a furniture designer has depicted former U.S. President Donald Trump in a manner most probably never thought of before. Hong Junshi carved Buddha statues of Trump that have gone viral nationwide and even abroad. More in this report.
Former US President Donald Trump was anything but a monk, but one can still imagine him as such. So a Chinese designer was inspired by the potential contrast provided by the true extremisms of Buddhism and a former leader known for his sharp outbursts. Hong Junshi made 2 white ceramic statues of a pint-sized version of a meditating Trump as a fun project. Little did he know, their demand and hype would surge so much that he would end up opening a workshop to produce more such statues.
This process is actually like this, because his image and the image of meditation are two extremes. Meditation is a look within oneself, where you let go, where you don't fight for fame and fortune. So the image of the statue and his current situation are two extremes. This is a more peaceful and quiet image.
For several months, Hong worked with his sculptor friend to refine the design. Hong is unaware if Trump has seen pictures of the statue, but he is very eager to find out how the former US president would react on seeing it and, if possible, wants to gift him one.
I'm very curious how he would react to this statue. But I heard a friend say that based on Trump's character, if it is something that makes him famous, then he'll like it. Not to mention that this is something quite positive.
Hong has so far sold around 200 statues, which come in two sizes and take around 10 days to make. A 16 centimeters model is priced at $150, while a bigger one of 46 centimeters is worth $347.
Driven by the desire to be educated, a 50-year-old Nigerian woman has overcome stigma and joined a school as she was unable to study as a child. Details in this report.
Dressed in pink uniform, Shade Ajay joins hundreds of other pupils at a school in Al-Lorin in Nigeria's western Kawara state. As a child, Ajay worked at her aunt's shop and had never set foot in a classroom. The 50-year-old woman runs her own business of making and selling purses and bags and believes her inability to read or write had been holding her back.
At my work, I couldn't speak English and I was writing incorrectly. People around me can read and write, so they were succeeding in their businesses. That is why I decided to come and study too, so that I would be able to write and stop going back to ask people to help me write.
She says she is not bothered by whatever others say about her joining the school at this age. Her daughter said she was initially ashamed that her mother attended school alongside children, but she later came around. Ajay's teacher says she appeared completely undeterred by the age gap.
So far so good. Shade does not have any problem with the students in the class. She has been coping well with them, playing together, talking together, discussing things together. Even the ones she does not understand, she tries to ask the students in the class.
It has been hard to juggle school and work and the stigma. Her apprentice serves customers during school hours, and Ajay resumes her business activities after finishing classes at 4 p.m. She intends to continue her education for 4 more years.
In Egypt's capital, Cairo, the Pharaohs' Golden Parade was held to transport 22 royal mummies to their new home, where they are to be displayed in greater splendor. More in this report.
In a highly sumptuous event, the ancient rulers of Egypt were relocated to a new residing place under strict security arrangements and protocol. The Pharaohs' Golden Parade featured 22 royal mummies, which were placed in protected capsules and carried across Cairo on special vehicles. The mummies of 18 kings and 4 queens, mostly from the New Kingdom, were shifted from the Egyptian Museum in Tahrir to the National Egyptian Museum of Civilization in Fustat, located 5 kilometers away. They were received at the museum with a 21-gun salute. Egypt's President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi stood by as the mummies filed past on vehicles bedecked with golden motifs. The heads of the Human Culture Agency, UNESCO, and the World Tourism Organization also attended the ceremony. The elaborate event was designed with the intent to expand interest in Egypt's rich collections of antiquities. The country's tourism has been severely affected amid the ongoing pandemic.
In China's capital, Beijing, laser light, music and performances have come to enthrall audiences. High-tech installations provide an immersive experience to visitors following the start of Beijing International Light Festival. More in this report.
Yuantan Park is a popular site for enjoying cherry blossoms in spring. As the sun goes down, the park is illuminated with a high-tech light show every evening. Started on the 25th of March, the 18,000 square meter exhibition is divided into 15 sections, with themes including galaxy, variation, and blossom.
The theme of our show this year is Blue Space. We've created a universe in which there's the blue planet. The visitors come in as explorers from Earth, they board the spacecraft, and it takes them to the blue planet. And the installations they see in the park are different bio-landscapes on planet Blue. There, they need to complete several tasks, which are the interactive installations we've set up. So the exhibition is immersive and interactive.
Every day at the park, nature's beauty is highlighted with little help from technology. The whimsical night scene uses 19 different types of lighting equipment, including over 12,000 point source lights and 2-kilometer LED light bands.
This installation is called Awakening, and the concept is to use the warmth of our fingertips to thaw the glaciers on planet Blue, to nurture the growth of this mystical plant on the planet.
Amid the second wave of COVID-19 pandemic, such festivals give people a reason to smile and make their beliefs stronger in life. The Light Festival will run until October.
For the latest updates, you can follow us on social media at indus.news.